What is up, guys? How are you? Happy Thursday, as we're almost through another week of remote learning. Today's video is going to be on the quicker side because today's lesson is pretty much exactly what you did yesterday, except I'm cutting out a little bit of the actual lesson part so that you guys can focus more on the Scarlet Stocking Spy, okay? So our content framing question for today is, what is happening in the Scarlet Stocking Spy? And we're focusing on the fact that it's still a historical fiction text. And today you guys are going to be focusing on pages 25 through the end of the book. And you're going to be doing what you did yesterday and pulling out those historical facts that you can find as you read, okay? So there was quite the few yesterday. Some of you turned it in already as I'm filming this, and you've done a pretty good job in terms of finding what was real and historical as opposed to what is made up and fictional and based solely on the characters, right? And yesterday we talked about how Philadelphia is a real location. It was an important location during the Revolutionary War. We talked about also this book is taking place in 1777, which is an accurate year for the American Revolution, so that all is good. And then we also talked about how the Battle of Princeton was a real battle, and that's where Maddie's father allegedly died, and that George Washington was the leader of the colonial army, and that was something else that was also true, as you guys know. Yesterday you could have also gone from the Battle at Brandywine Creek, which was on September 11th of 1777, that is the actual date, and everything that took place on that day was written in history. This just happens to be Jonathan's perspective, so that's the fictional part of it. And a lot of you did happen to list the Battle at Brandywine Creek in your responses. So I'm going to skip ahead to where we're starting reading today, because I have left some space here to show you guys how to pull historical facts once again. And the camera is drooping on me, so let me see what I can do about that. There we go, that's better. Now we're talking. You can see my head, you can see the chart. And if I could find out what page we read to yesterday. Here we go. The last page where you guys read up to was the last page of the Battle of Brandywine Creek, okay? So actually, you guys are starting on page 27 today, where we see Maddie kind of walking through the streets, and I'm going to give this a quick read to see if there's any sort of historical facts that I can pull out, because eventually we're going to be doing a writing piece that's based off of facts and centered on Maddie. So that's why pulling all these historical facts now is super important, because this way, when it comes time to do your writing, you can take what you've already learned and just put it right into your work, okay? So, but Maddie Rose could not hear this part of the battle where she sat in Ross's upholstery shop, ripping out seam after seam, unable to concentrate, and required 16 stitches per inch. Maddie Rose, those seams can wait, miss. So this is basically just her talking about how she's at work and she's worried about Jonathan. So no historical facts on this page. Next, Maddie Rose's sharp eyes swept over the many ships crowded along the wharf. She memorized their positions and which would be the petticoats, which would be the stockings with the toes up or down. But on this day, she was startled to see that many stockings would need cobblestone weights. She quickly fetched Mistress Ross's order, but before she left, something made her look across the Delaware towards New Jersey, and her heart nearly stopped. For there in the middle of the river, hiding amongst the many moored ships, sat a British man of war. Jonathan must know, she gasped. Maddie Rose reared back and set to work. It was the heaviest clothesline she had ever hung. Whoa, technical difficulties. But I caught it, so we're all good. But on this page, despite the camera almost collapsing and me being almost 5 minutes into this video, I'm not going to restart. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep fighting the good fight. But what's important on these pages is that even though Maddie Rose is a fictional character, what she is doing was actually done during the Revolutionary War. So I'm going to add that as a historical fact and say, hanging of petticoats and stockings as a warning to colonial soldiers. And there were many other ways that people would help the colonial army during the Revolutionary War. So there were many places where there were lighthouses, and people would either light the lighthouses or not light the lighthouses based on the ships that they had seen coming in. They would turn the lights on in front of their house or keep the lights off in front of their house if they knew certain things. That there was all different codes that the colonists had kind of designed to help them get a little bit of an advantage against the British, okay? And the second half of this is really kind of focused more on Maddie Rose, on the fictional part of it. The historical facts part is primarily in the beginning because it helps set you guys up to continue reading. But you know, something that happens is that, you know, we learn that Jonathan unfortunately passes away. And that's something that could be seen as a historical fact too, is that many colonists lost their lives fighting in the American Revolution. Okay? There's a bunch more pages left for you guys to go through and pull a lot of those historical facts out, okay? There will be space for you guys to write in your historical facts under one of the examples I've already given you. And then at the bottom, just like yesterday's sheet, you'll have 2 RACCS responses. And yes, RACCS responses, because even though I say RACCS in the instructions, and I feel like a broken record, I really do saying this, even though I say RACCS, or I say specifically that it needs to be a paragraph, or it needs to be at least 4 or 5 sentences, people continue to give me 1 sentence, 2 sentences with no punctuation. I have people giving me sentences where every word is capitalized. Like, guys, just because you're not in school doesn't mean you should forget everything that you have learned, okay? Then that's just basic stuff. And it's not even stuff that you've learned, it's just following directions. So please, follow the directions. I put a lot of time and effort into making this stuff for you and try to make it as easy as possible for you, okay? So your RACCS questions for today are, why is the flag hanging outside of Maddie's house important? Explain. When they talk about that flag, you can get a lot of historical facts for your bullets on the chart, on your worksheet, I should say. And then the second question is, what can we learn about Maddie's perspective from her actions? And that one I put last because this whole unit and this whole thing is about perspective and how people see things. And it's very clear what Maddie's actions mean and how she feels about the Revolutionary War and what's going on during the time. Okay? So you guys are doing from 25 or 27 to the end of Scarlet Stocking Spy. The parts that I was just looking at, there's not a ton of historical facts, but towards the end, it brings back in a lot more historical facts for you guys. It's just a matter of you guys going in and pulling them out. Again, the part with the flag and like those last couple pages are going to be where you find most of them. These 2 questions get answered using RACCS. Okay? I will see you guys tomorrow, or later today, I should say, for those of you who are actually watching this on Thursday. But if you're not watching it on Thursday, every day we meet at 1:30. Shout out to the people that have been on regularly Kaylee and Mikey and Jordy, Eric, and I'm thinking Besida and a couple other people whose names kind of escape me right now. But you guys have been doing a great job, so please keep on coming. I do enjoy seeing you guys. I miss you guys a lot, and hopefully I see you guys at 1:30. All right, see you later.